Sometimes the best part of breaking up is finding someone else you can't get enough of, and that's what the Vikings did after they fired Mike Zimmer and brought in Kevin O'Connell as their new head coach. Had some good times with Zimmer, but time had passed, and Kevin O'Connell, in the mold of the young gun, innovative offensive mind, etc., it makes a lot of sense. And the biggest beneficiary on the team may be Justin friggin' Jefferson, where you have a guy who was the OC of the Rams, where Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown, led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and Justin Jefferson, who's an emerging star heading into year 3. Also, he can get paid after year 3. Woo! That's right, man. He is going to have a monster season under Kevin O'Connell, and he talked about how the changes in the head coaching room, it's pretty refreshing. So this is a write-up from NFL.com. Blah, 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 blah. Jefferson said this, quote, "Just for him, Kevin O'Connell, to come in and be a laid-back coach ready to change the whole program and get us back on that winning stage," receiver Justin Jefferson said Tuesday. "We're all excited. We've seen so many new faces in here, so many new coaches. We have so much potential on this team. We're all ready to get this thing started back up." Now, a part of the laid-back is, Kevin O'Connell seems like a pretty chill dude. If you've seen videos of him coaching, he does have a pretty quiet, pretty understated, pretty, I don't know, like a way of coaching, I guess, for lack of a better term. Whereas, Zimmer, who they describe him as rigid, austere. There's so many words I would understand, including rigid. I don't know. But yeah, the pendulum definitely swung, where Zimmer, much more of an old school dude. Kevin O'Connell, much more of a new school, I don't know, like Ted Lasso, empathetic style. Plus, this is the greatest travesty. Justin Jefferson has never been above 500 at any point during his Vikings tenure. He hasn't. During the last 2 seasons, the Vikings have never been above 500. And Jefferson, he's got to be champing at the bit. And part of it is you had a defensive head coach who wasn't really involved in the offense, wasn't really involved in the offensive meetings. And now you have an offensive guy who's going to stay here, hopefully long term, and install his offense that you just saw their wide receiver one in LA just break records and do some great things. So you can understand why Jefferson is fired up. He continued, quote, "Just him," Kevin O'Connell, "being close in age to us, he can connect more with us," Jefferson added of O'Connell. "He has that younger vibe, so he'll play music in the locker rooms, play music in the meeting rooms before the meeting starts." So Chase Claypool said something similar to this last season, and he got roasted. He got roasted for this. Jefferson says this as it's fine. Yeah, it's perfectly fine because JJ is our guy. And I do think that the age gap does... Sometimes the age gap can be too much, right? So sometimes, Zimmer, who played college linebacker and quarterback, because that's a classic combination at Illinois State, or whatever, go Redbirds, I think. Even though he played college ball back in the day, that was a long time ago, right? So Kevin O'Connell was just recently in some of these NFL locker rooms. He's been a coach basically since he hung his cleats up. He was a 2008 third-round pick. Hell, there's Kirk Cousins was drafted 4 drafts after him, just in terms of the age gap here. So Kevin O'Connell can relate to these young guys a little bit better. And you're starting to see, like, some of these young guys, sometimes they do bristle at some old school hardcore coaching. And sometimes the new way is the way to go. The article continued eventually. All this gets us out of our comfort zone. It feels laid back coming back to work. It's just not all about business. It's about having fun, doing what we love to do, coming to focus. Now, football is a business. It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. It wins and losses, etc. But you can have fun doing it. Like you can build an environment where people have fun coming to work. Like it isn't that fear-driven or fear-based culture, which several players have brought up, by the way, sort of unprompted, which makes you think maybe they got all their ducks in a row. But I think that Kevin O'Connell, he understands culture, and you look at the Rams culture, people want to be part of that, whether they're coaches, whether they're executives, whether they're janitors, whether they're ticket takers. They do have a good thing going with the Rams, especially players. Beyond just trying to get together and win a ring, which they did last year, it does seem like the Rams, they genuinely have fun. They genuinely like each other. I think Sean McVay was a big purveyor of that, and Kevin O'Connell has that as well. And it's funny that McVay and O'Connell both came from Washington, and I don't know, maybe just they learned what not to do. Anyway, O'Connell's coaching style will win him points with the younger group of players. However, it's his offensive acumen that could help turn the Vikings from a team that continued to fell short in close games to a contender in the NFC. Wow. There's a lot of different formations, blah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So Jefferson continued. Not to say that there's a wrong way to do it. It's just different. Excited about that. Again, we haven't really talked about plays much. Just kind of starting the basics right now. Formations and just kind of some terminology stuff. But what I've seen from afar, it's definitely an offense that kind of lets their players do what they want, do what they do well, and go and try to beat the coverage that they're throwing at us. Try to make things look difficult to the defense, but easy for the offense. And if you've heard McVay talk about his offense before, it's a lot of very similar concepts, but a lot of different formations, a lot of different looks designed to confuse the defense. I mean, we've seen this up close and personal. Was it 2018? We're playing out at the Coliseum, where they came out with one running back, one wide receiver, 3 tight ends, so 13 personnel. And then they shifted to a 5 wide, and Anthony Barr ended up covering the only wide receiver, Robert Woods, on the field, and he ran up the seam for wide open touchdown. So it's just things like that that we haven't seen from the Vikings offense, where, yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson is the only receiver in NFL history with 3K yards through 2 seasons, but it felt like he was getting blood from a stone. Like, it didn't really come easy. There was a really herky-jerky, helter-skelter fits and starts with the offense, but if you can just get into a flow, as opposed to run, pass, punt, run, pass, punt, run, pass, punt, run, punt. Getting away from that. And then he goes on about Cooper Kupp. Seeing what Cooper Kupp did last year, him getting close to the receiving yards record, him being so open so many times. There's a lot of things on film that I watch and I looked at. I'm excited about this year. Even being in the meetings with him and talking over schemes and different things he did with the Rams and things he's planning to do with us is very exciting. I'm definitely excited to start the season right now. And great thing about Cooper Kupp. So he would move all over the place. He would be outside, at the X, at the Z. You put him in the slot, be in the backfield at times. And Jefferson, to Clint Kubiak's credit, like, he would move Jefferson around, including into the backfield a couple times last year. But how many times have you seen Cooper Kupp in the middle of the field matched up against a linebacker, matched up against a safety? And it's just, how does that happen? Like, if you're a defense, how does that happen? And I want to see some of those matchups with Jefferson where, hey, sometimes he does get away from their cornerback one, even though he's going to be a marked man this year, and moving him all over the place and just getting Justin Jefferson the ball in space where he's fantastic after the catch. Same thing with Thielen, same thing with KJ, etc. So it's going to be good to see. And I do think that Justin Jefferson can have a Cooper Kupp-esque season where he can be the lead man in a very high-powered offense. They can win games. They can go deep in the playoffs. They can win a Super Bowl with Jefferson leading the way, because Jefferson, he always struck me as a guy who wants to win, who needs to win. Looking back at his LSU 2019 record-setting season, where it's like, hey, you can have stats and you can win. Like, that is the thing. Like, hey, give me the ball, we'll put up points, we'll put up yards, we will win games, we will win championships. And that's what Jefferson wants to do, as opposed to some wide receivers are just all about the numbers. Like, hey, we lost, but I got mine. I don't think Jefferson is in that mold, but sometimes it just syncs up where Jefferson is going to get his and the Vikings are going to get theirs, and then everyone's going to be all hunky-dory, and hopefully they'll hoist at Jerome Barty multiple times during the Kevin O'Connell tenure, as well as the Justin Jefferson tenure. Hopefully retires as a Viking. And also, no breakups in between. Like, I'm not talking about Randy Moss, get you 84 jerseys out in 2010 coming back. No, I'm talking about a long, continuous lineage of Justin Jefferson in purple. Would love to see it, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Justin Jefferson fired up about Kevin O'Connell and his approach. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.